All right, baby. We are live. Happy Thirsty Thursday to all of you watching us around the world. You could be doing anything, anywhere, and you are hopefully spending time with us. And for that, we appreciate you. We love you. I'm Emerson Lotzia. That is Sweet Tea Fowler. We got TP on the ones and twos behind the scene. Producer Eamon working his magic as well. Reid, how are you doing today? I would love to know.
Good. Golf is back, right? Round one of the Century Tournament of Champions is underway. Victor Hovland.
Waiting on it to come onto my television here tonight.
Go ahead. If you got ESPN Plus, just, fork over a couple of shekels, bud. Get with it. Get ESPN Plus. Right now, I'm looking at Victor Hovland at 5 under par, and Daniel Berger now both leading the tournament at 5 under. Garrett Higgo, a guy that I loosely mentioned on the Sweat a couple of days ago, he's at 4 under, so he's teasing. He's right back there. And you got Taylor Gooch, EVR. So this is shaping up to be a interesting golf tournament. And like the vistas, they're showing it. There's whales breaching in the ocean. It's fantastic.
Dude, what's going on behind you? If I was a whale, like I would hang out around Hawaii all the time. That's the only place I would really be and chill. I would occasionally swim to like the Indian Ocean. I would check out some of Asia, maybe summertime as well. I'd come over to New England and give everyone entertainment on the boat. But I actually, you know what? I would travel the world if I was a whale.
That's good to know, because you'd be interesting. What kind of whale would you be? Humpback? You'd probably be a humpback.
I'd like to be a blue whale.
I was going to say blue whales are large.
Yep, they're large. What's the a whale shark? I think a whale shark's pretty cool because you see the videos of people. What?
I was going to say, like, whale sharks to me are more lethargic. They're more kind of more slow moving.
That's me. That's me in the winter.
Like, you need to be the guy. Like, you need to be the whales that breach.
Okay, you know what? I'm an orca. Make me an orca.
Orcas are really smart.
I'm not quite at an orca's level. Give me a middle of the class pack. How about one of the white ones? A beluga. Is that what they're called?
Beluga?
A beluga.
Beluga sounds like a flower.
You're as pretty as a beluga, Reid T. Fowler. All right. Today, I love the start of this show already. Where are we? Okay. Eamon says, how about a pilot whale?
Never
I like that. Kind of just steer the ship, do the thing. People follow you. Today has been interesting in the world of the NFL. So in terms of injuries, Burrow's not going to play. We talked about that yesterday here on the Slate with Jeff Ulrich. Mixon's out, right? So the above average Joes are going to be out this weekend for Cincinnati, but in the AFC North as well, like another team, it's looking like Lamar Jackson did not practice today. And like we were talking pre-show, you and I, TP and Eamon, about can the Ravens even get in? I thought they were eliminated. No, it turns out they need the Chargers to lose. They need the Colts to lose. They need the Dolphins to lose as well. Like, I don't know if that's going to happen. So, but I think the biggest story here today, Reid, has been Antonio Brown being released. We thought it would happen earlier. The Bucs decided to make that move today. Yeah. Which is interesting because making that move today, he will hit waivers and he'll be there for 24 hours. Had they waited until the playoffs started to release him, if a team did somehow scoop him up, he would not have been allowed to play in the playoffs. But now if a team does scoop him up and he's like, okay, yeah, I can give it a go. I'm a tough cookie. He can play. There was a lot of information to take in today. What were you thinking as all of this was just coming out in waves on Twitter?
That it always seems to find Antonio Brown. Right. It like either he brings it on to himself or, he gets a string of bad luck. Well, I think it's the former. Well, when you attract that kind of drama because you're a drama, not a drama queen, but like someone who feeds off of that, which I would feel like Antonio Brown is, that's going to follow you wherever you go. And look, despite even if what he's saying is true, right, and has some validity, which I'm sure it does, you never get the benefit of the doubt. And that's sad in a lot of ways. You heard it kind of from Tom Brady, the empathy that he was mentioning that he shared when he was asked the question right after the game on Sunday, something that you usually don't see out of TB12, especially at this time of the year where he's locked into the playoffs. He's like, what can you do for me? You're kind of seeing that from a player perspective. But let's get one thing straight. Antonio Brown is someone who's kind of shot himself in the foot, so to speak, figuratively speaking. But I would also argue, too, that coaches and football teams care about one thing. They care about winning, right? So if Antonio Brown's foot was and his ankle was bad, which I'm sure it was, BA cares about winning. He cares about winning. That's why when Antonio Brown came back in, right, like they were talking about the vaccination status, he said, I don't give a damn what you guys think. He's playing because we need him, right? So he does that and he doesn't care, right, BA? And then he does this and BA cares. So I don't trust full and wholeheartedly what Antonio Brown is saying. I don't trust what Bruce Arians and the Buccaneers are saying.
Same here.
Because you can't trust, coach, and Bruce Arians is notorious for this. He's been like this since his time with the Steelers, with the Colts, with the Cardinals, and now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He never gives you the truth, ever, because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. So don't trust either side. And if you're Antonio Brown, you're kind of in your 30s. You're potentially a issue for teams. This has to be a time where he really thinks about what his next step is.
Dude, and it's crazy because he's calling out, he's posting text messages between he and Alex Guerrero, and then he's like posting them and tagging Tom Brady, which we all know the relationship between Alex Guerrero and Tom Brady. Tom Brady would die for that, man. I believe he's the godfather of one of his kids. Like he's not only, and Tom like fought for this dude. The only reason he was given a chance on the Bucs was because of Tom Brady. Right. But he's not only, as he is leaving these teams, he is not only just burning bridges, like he's straight up blowing them up into pieces, like the final scene in Saving Private Ryan. Like there's no remnant of these bridges after he crosses them.
Yeah. And look, if he was 25, 26, 27, maybe, right? Like, of course, teams would be chomping at the bit. But like, if you take a look at the playoff teams and you see AB on waivers, I would be very surprised if you see a team pick him up, right? Because what you have now is you have a coalesced team after 18 weeks of fighting in the trenches together. You're at that, if you're hitting your stride and you got momentum, like if the Colts win, for instance, or if the Raiders win, right? They've already tried that. They've already kicked the tires on AB, and you get a consequential down with the Raiders at all. In actuality, probably the Raiders are the one team that would need him, but that's not going to happen, right? You're not going to pick him up if you're the Packers. No team is going to touch Antonio Brown coming into the playoffs because what he can provide from a statistical and a advantage standpoint does not outweigh what a distraction he would be, right? That's just the way it is.
It's tough. Let's say like a team is brave enough to scoop him. And like the one thing that you do hear about Antonio Brown from other players and coaches is like what a tough cookie he is. Like on the field, like who'll play through these injuries. That's why it's like, okay, like if he truly is saying my ankle's not right, like it's just straight up not right. But him saying I'm going to get surgery right away, my ankle's not right. If a team was to pick him up and they say, okay, just needs you for 4 or 5 games. Let's say it's like the Packers or something like that. It completely contradicts and kind of wipes out like his side of the argument throughout all of this right now.
Yeah, it does. Right. And so that's why like he's kind of between a rock and a hard place, because if he can't play, then, why is he going to accept? Like, it's just, he should be like, I'm out, I'm getting surgery. I'll be back for next year. Yeah. So, I'm sure there are also reports that Schefter came out and said that in the locker room, he was throwing a tantrum about not getting the targets that he was told that he was going to get. Right. So there's so much that we don't know. We're seeing the tip of the iceberg.
Like there's part of it to where I think he would have a right to be really pissed off if all of a sudden, like he wasn't like they were running out of weapons. Right. And if they're not giving the targets to avoid him hitting those contract incentives, but I feel like Tom Brady, if he could have just kept his cool, if it maybe wasn't an ankle so all of an ankle thing. Maybe it was more of an attitude thing. Like, I feel like if you would have just kept your cool, like Tom Brady likes you so much, he would have given yours. Like, you would have gotten yours. Also, did he forget there was a week 18? Like, there's a whole nother week there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, and there's another story that came out like about 20, 30 minutes ago, Daily Mail. I'm not going to get into the details of that one, but Google it. It seems like he may have been up to something the night before in his hotel room. Check it out. I've been told from higher ups to kind of steer clear of that story, so I will listen to them. But, a question I threw out the other day on the sweat, I don't think you were on it. I think only Jeff, I think we only had enough time for Jeff to answer it. Like, how much does losing Antonio Brown, because they're already out, Godwin's already out. They need Leo to come back and be playoff Leo again, Uncle Leo. Mm-hmm. But like, I'm looking at their odds to win the Super Bowl plus like 900. I mean, in your eyes, this has to hurt. This doesn't make it easier on them. That losing Antonio Brown does not make it easier on Tom Brady. And I feel like he's won Super Bowls with less, but still, this does not make the path to another trophy easy, does it?
No, I mean, this kind of feels like what Brady had in his last year at the Patriots, right? Like, I mean, I know you have Evans there, but he's banged up.
Yeah, he really is.
Uncle Leo is banged up. He's massively important to this team, but he's important to the sense of when you have those other two guys out there and Godwin and Evans, and then AB, Gronk, so on and so forth, you can't really load the box against Fournette. Fournette will destroy you if you go one-on-one against him, right? Like, that's just, and he's great out of the backfield catching the ball. So, like, even if Fournette comes back, I look, they're the 3 seed right now, right? So, like, they would have to play the Cowboys potentially, right? Like 1, 2, 3, yeah, Cowboys or Cardinals in that first round. Like, that's a tough order. I just don't see, like, Tom Brady can overcome anything, really, but he can't overcome catching the ball himself. And if you get guys out there for your playoff run who haven't had a lot of time with you, timing is all off. The defense is okay, but they're kind of limping into the playoffs as well. Man, this is a tough road for the Buccaneers. And I think that plus 900 has a lot to do with Tom Brady. And that's sort of a red herring right now, because the Packers, I would argue the Cowboys are in a better position right now. I mean, like the Eagles too. The Eagles can scare a lot of people. They're getting, if they can get healthy, they're already locked into that 7 seed. Like, this is gonna be a tough test for Tampa.
All right. So looking now at some of the team futures here, just to make the playoffs, because I believe this weekend, Reid, there are, all right, so the AFC's number 1 seed. You have 2 division crowns are at stake. 3 wild cards are still available here. So the 49ers, I believe, this is all off the top of my head, are a win and get in situation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ravens, we mentioned earlier, need all the help. They need the Colts to lose. They need the Dolphins to lose. They need the Chargers to lose. There's the Raiders. Like, is there a team on here that you're most confident in betting to make the playoffs, or is there one that you like more to miss the playoffs here? There's a lot of intrigue with Week 18.
Yeah, like the Steelers have an outside chance, but they need the Raiders to. I don't know if the Steelers. I think they're still mathematically alive.
Oh, yeah. Steelers 100%. So the Steelers stayed alive by being the Browns. They'll go in their Week 18 game with the Ravens having a chance, just like a few of their other opponents.
But the Raiders have the tie break against them. So if the Raiders have to lose, that means the Chargers win, and the Colts, I think, have to lose as well.
Yeah, so they need to win. All right, so here's what the Steelers need to have. They need to win in Week 18 combined with a loss by Indianapolis, while assuming the Chargers and Raiders don't tie. That's the information I have here.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, mathematically, that's a lot. That's a lot. A lot hinges on Indy, right? Indy kind of is in control of their own destiny. I mean, I would argue that you probably one of the better bets is, that AFC West. It comes down to Sunday night, right? The Raiders and the Chargers. I mean, the Raiders at plus 105 to make the playoffs. Like, if the Chargers, it doesn't matter what the Colts do, right? The Raiders can make it if they win, if the Colts win, right? So like they're kind of in control of their own destiny as well. So the Raiders probably at plus 105, and this is not a homer bet. That's probably the best value. And if you don't like that side, and I get it, right? It's hard to bet on the Raiders because they're averaging like 16 points per game over their last 6 games. It's hard to put your money on that against a Chargers team that could really run up the score. So if you think that's the case, then right, like you would want to go minus 150 on the yes for the Chargers. So I think there's value in that game specifically because we know that the outcome isn't based necessarily on like if the Colts lose, the only way potentially you lose this bet of going with the Raiders or the Chargers is if they tie.
Okay.
Right? So I don't think that's going to be the case. I personally like the Raiders at plus 105, but I get why someone would like the Chargers because the Raiders haven't scored a ton of points in the last month and a half.
Is Darren Waller expected to return this week?
I haven't heard anything. If
God, it would be such a crucial time for him. And it would be just the ultimate tribute to John Madden is to go in there and kick LA's ass and, lock up that playoff spot. That would actually be like super, super cool. 4 of the last 5 meetings between the Chargers and Raiders have been 1-score games. And I know Herbert last time in his last visit to Vegas, looks like he led that 30-27 victory in the Sin City.
Yeah. A lot of things were different then, right? With the Raiders and Chargers, but yeah, Waller would be massive. And that's a big thing, right? Waller is so much a part of their offense since week 12, since he's been out. The Raiders really haven't scored a ton of points. And I would think that the Raiders now, if Josh Jacobs is healthy, he's been banged up throughout this entire season. I would expect him and Peyton Barber to get a lot of run because the Chargers can't defend the run. And the way the Raiders win now is to control the clock, play solid defense, which they've been doing, and then run the ball. And if that's the case, that's why I think the Raiders have a better than decent shot. Most people are giving them is because the Chargers can't defend the run. And that's what they've been doing for the last month and a half is running the ball as much as possible and then giving it to Hunter Renfrow as much as possible.
All right, I'm looking at we mentioned it like briefly yesterday. So what do we have? I'm looking at the double-digit favorites like on the slate, and the first one that's coming up is going to be the first game of Week 18. It's the Chiefs at Denver.
Yep,
and it's a big one. It's a big one for the Chiefs, Reid, because if the Chiefs win and then the Titans lose the following day, Chiefs get that number 1 seed. And this year, with an added wild card team, there's only one team that gets one bye and like the home field advantage. Like it's crucial. It's clutch. And Kansas City is one of the toughest places to play. It's loud. Yeah. It's one of the biggest stadiums in the NFL. But you got the Chiefs, you have the Colts, you have the Titans, and you have the Bills at home, are the double-digit favorites. Which one are you most confident will cover the spread? Because we've talked about it all season long. It's tough. It's tough to cover these double-digit spreads. But I think double-digit favorites are around 7-2-1, something in that neck of the woods the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. I know Jeff likes this one a lot.
Yeah, he does.
But I mean, the Jaguars put up 10 points last week.
Yeah. I see
like,
it. We all want them to win, but like, realistically, they're over it. They're out. The guys want to hit the beach. They're done.
Right. So, I mean, even though that's probably, I think that's the biggest at 15.5.
No, 16 now for the Bills.
16. Yeah. No, I don't like, no, I'm not inclined to do this. And look, a low total at 41.5, 16 points. That's massive. Like 44, I'm not saying that's any better, but that's higher. So I'd probably say the Colts. I think the Colts are going to win handily. I spoke about how I'm worried about Carson Wentz and his turnover worthy plays, but Jacksonville doesn't really put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Their secondary is not great. They're subpar. And the Colts have the best running back in the NFL right now. And the defense that should be healthier than last week when a lot of those guys like Darius Leonard were coming off the COVID list. So right? Carson Wentz is coming off the COVID list. So that could have played a factor of them not practicing. Even though these guys don't necessarily need practice, you're going to need it to really stay in form and game shape, right? So as Garrett Higo makes another birdie, he's at 5 under, I believe.
Yeah, baby. Let's go. Is this leaderboard live now?
There we go. Leaderboard.
R.I.P., dude.
Beautiful shot of Maui. Anyway.
I know, man.
That's probably where I would go. Even though it's the lowest spread, that's probably where I would go. Houston, they're squirrely, man. Davis Mills, he's playing well. Tennessee secondary is okay. And Tennessee can get to the quarterback, but man, Davis Mills is playing all right. So I don't know about that one. I really don't know about that one. In Kansas City and Denver, it's a division game. It's strong. Like that one you never know about either. I know Judy and Tim Patrick are coming off the COVID list. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not playing. He'll be out. But I think Kansas City, right, coming into the playoffs, I mean, this is exactly when you want to back Kansas City. I don't want to bet them at all. But if you're a Chiefs fan, you're hoping for the Raiders to win and get that 7 seed. Because if you're Kansas City, right, you eventually, and you're the 2 seed still, you play the Raiders. And you've absolutely demolished the Raiders in the regular season, like 86 to whatever it is, 20.
It was like twice in like 4 weeks or something, too. It was
they've put
ugly,
up like
dude.
Almost 100 points total on the Raiders. So if you're Kansas City, you're pulling for the Raiders to win if you stay in that 2 seed and Tennessee closes out the deal against Houston, which should be the case.
And Kansas City comes into this one with a 4-1 ATS mark in the division this season. So while they weren't like super strong early on, they had a nice run recently, but they seem to be getting it done in the division. As we mentioned, 2 of those were huge blowouts against your Raiders.
Yeah. The Chargers probably present the biggest issue to them, right? Because they can go toe to toe in terms of scoring. The Raiders can't. So me, as selfishly as possible, if the Raiders make it, I want Kansas City to win. So we play Tennessee instead of Kansas City. I think you have a better shot against Tennessee, obviously, than you do against Kansas City. So there's a lot of things that are going to be fun about this week, right? Especially when you talk about primetime golf, right? Because it'll come on at 6 p.m. Eastern on the Golf Channel. And you're going to see it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And today, obviously. And then you have football. You have football on Saturday and Sunday that have playoff implications. So it's going to be a good time to be a football and golf fan. You know,
Herbert and Carr, too, come off as really good DFS plays this week because I'm looking at the situation. A game where indoors in Vegas, 2 teams that have to win. And the last time Herbert, who is 7,100, I think, on DK. So he had 3 touchdowns. This has like I don't even know what the total is in this one. I'll have to pull the sportsbook back up, but over 300 passing yards seems like it's totally viable and just like shootout. And then on the other side, Carr seems a little underpriced to me, $5,600.
Yeah. So the over under is right under 50. It's at 49.5.
That's great. And this is a week 2, bro, but there's a lot of low totals. Well, I think the Washington, New York one is like 37. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But give
9.5 for the Saints, Falcons.
But this could be a good game. Raiders, Chargers to attack or look for some stacks.
Right. Exactly. So like, if you take a look at this, it's Sunday night, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see a showdown contest for that game yet on the DK on DraftKings.
All right.
So, if you're looking at that, you're looking at the full slate that includes a Sunday night game. And if that's the case, then like the Raiders, what I worry about with the Raiders though, is that you have an interim head coach who's never been in this position before. Derek Carr, and I got into some like Twitter debates after Derek Carr's, another one of his game-winning drives. And I said, if you don't think Carr is a good quarterback, we're not watching the same game. And if you look throughout the entire season, for the most part, and I haven't pulled up the numbers today, he was leading the league in big time throws percentage, right? And now when you have an interim head coach, you have a banged up running back who's been in and out of the lineup. You don't have your best player. You don't have your speedster that opens up the field. So you don't have Darren Waller. Henry Ruggs is obviously not on the team anymore. And you have a defense that throughout the year has been deteriorating, guarding both the pass and the run, yet you're still winning games. I think they're on a 3 or 4 game winning streak, right? So a lot of that has to do with Derek Carr. The only thing about that, though, Emerson, is that where's his ceiling at? Like the Raiders, if they want to win this game, and look, it's a 3-point spread, and an over under of 50, right? That like there's a lot of back and forth, but I argue, and I'm trying to wrap my head around who's going to get that. And if that's the case, right? If you think that he's going to go for a lot, then a guy like Zay Jones becomes extremely appealing. Love right. That. Like Zay Jones is that player that when you hear when Derek Carr talks about his receivers, he absolutely loves Zay Jones. And that's what you want in this matchup, right? Is confidence that this is a win or win and get in type of thing. Potentially, you want to go to the guys that you're confident in. And that's Hunter Renfrow. It's probably Zay Jones. And, hopefully it's Josh Jacobs. And if that's the case, then yeah, I'd be all over that stack in that game. Is Justin Herbert can throw definitely over 300 yards and bring that back with like a stack of Derek Carr and Zay Jones.
Okay. Running back wise, who's been obviously sneaky good the past couple of weeks is Devin Singletary. Singletary there with the Bills. Cause like Zach Moss has lost all his carries and I had Singletary. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to pull Jeff over here and with fantasy golf. He's been on my fantasy teams, couple season longs, and I had him on the bench. I'm like, every week he'd score like a touchdown or two. I said, okay, this is just going to be like kind of a one game wonder here. But look at last week, for example. You have it up on the screen, 26 points. He was $5,400. Now look at him. He's shot all the way up to $6,000, but double digit points, at least 14 in the last 4 weeks here. Like, and you have to think with the Jets and that rushing defense, it's a fantasy worse rushing defense. So if you have a running back going up against the Jets, to me, it's almost like a must start. I would totally expect a couple touchdowns out of this guy this week.
Yeah, well, it's a couple touchdowns. It's asking a lot, but he did that last week against Atlanta, right? You see it right there. So 26 DK fantasy points. You're kind of worried that he didn't get any of the passing game work, right? But I don't think any of the running backs say. If you look at his snap share over the last 4 weeks, Emerson, 83% against Carolina, 95% against against Tampa Bay, 95% against Carolina, only 72% against New England. But, you're trying to game theory that a little bit. And then 81% against Atlanta. He is their number one running back now. And they're not really splitting time with Breida or Zach Moss. They're just not.
They were doing that like 5-6 weeks ago, and it was so annoying until all of a sudden they decided to start giving it Singletary. And we're like, okay, I guess he's your number one guy now. Because to me, it's been the one thing Buffalo's been missing is that rock solid number one running back. And I still don't think he really is the guy in the future there. I think they're going to go running back relatively high in the draft this year. But if you just gave Josh Allen a rock solid number one running back, 3-down running back, that offense would be even more dangerous.
Well, that and the continuity of it, right, is that if you're an offense and Zach Moss comes in and you're in practice with these guys or Matt Breida, whatever it may be, you're practicing with them and their strengths and their weaknesses. If you're Josh Allen, you're making an audible out of it, and Zach Moss is in, and I'm just saying this, right? Like maybe his pass protection is a little bit weaker, or Singletary is a little bit weaker than Zach Moss. Those plays, right? Those minute changes can change like the entire landscape and trajectory of that play, right? And Josh Allen, he might have switched the protection a little bit, and Zach Moss or Singletary missed that block. They fumble, and it's a scoop and score, and they're now down by 7. That changes a lot of things when it comes to the offense moving the chains and staying, ahead of the chains and staying ahead of the cadence, right? That's always the thing, is you want to stay ahead of it. You want to keep on track on offense. And Singletary has been that guy over the last 4 weeks. He's finished as RB14, RB7, RB10, and RB5. So when you take a look at this slate, Yeah, right. What are the couple things that you probably want? Is you probably want to have momentum for your players heading into the playoffs, saying this is what we're going to do, guys. Is this now? I argue because the Bills are already in and they don't have to worry about it. They might rest those guys, but McDermott hasn't been the guy to do that throughout his tenure in Buffalo. He just hasn't been the guy to rest his players.
Now I think they need to win this game to win the division now.
Yeah,
right.
They do.
So they got to do that. And then also we saw what the Jets did with the Bucs last week. It took a Tom Brady miracle with a few seconds left. So like the Jets are still playing right now. Like they're still, I don't know if it's for Salah or I don't know if Zach Wilson's able to give a spark to his boys. I'm not sure what it is, or maybe the Bucs, or you're going up against the Jets and you kind of take your foot off the gas a little bit, but going back to the spread, 16 just seems like really, really thick for this one.
Yeah. And look, the over, I think the Jets are number 2 in hitting the over this year, like in the entire NFL, kind of like how Detroit is 10-6 ATS. Like the Jets are been hitting their game total overs quite a bit this season. But boy, like 16 point, whatever it is, right? Yeah. 16 points. That just seems like way too high for a Buffalo team that we've seen. Their defense is a little overrated. They're not going to be overrated in this one because Zach Wilson has, I think, is one of the bottom 5 quarterbacks, whatever it is, in turnover worthy plays. So they're going to look pretty good. But then again, look, the Bills don't put a lot of pressure on the quarterback either. So I could see this one, kind of being a shootout early in the game, and then obviously Buffalo putting it away. And that's why I don't necessarily like taking the Bills, because if they're back and forth, let's say at halftime it's like 14-10, they may go up a couple of scores, but then they'll take their foot off the gas. Yeah. And this just screams like backdoor cover from the Jets who put one up, put a field goal in, and it ends like in a 15-point deficit.
And they had an ugly first half against Atlanta last week. I think Josh Allen threw two or three interceptions off the top of my head, but it was one of Josh Allen's like worst games. Again, they relied a lot on Devin Singletary there. I'm trying to find their ATS records with the Bills. Yeah, the Bills. So all right, Bills are
right here.
Okay, all right.
Bills are 9-6-1 ATS.
Okay, all right. And then I'm looking at what do you have?
The Jets are 6-10.
All right.
ATS.
And Bills here 1-4-1 ATS in the last 6 games following a win. But this again, situation, this is different. They got to win. They can't take their foot off the freaking gas this week. Yeah, because they need to lock up that division.
Remember, and they put up 45 against the Jets in week 11, I think it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that was right after the 9-6 loss to the Jaguars. Right. So there was some added incentive.
Yeah, they were a little pissed off. They lost to America's team. It is what it is. It happens to the best. That's
probably the most surprising thing that has, there's a lot of things
most surprising result, you think, this year?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I thought originally, you're right. I have to agree. There's some bias in there for me as well. But originally, I thought that Miami Dolphins win, was that Thursday night over the Ravens? I thought that was like crazy.
Yeah.
But then we end up saying the Ravens just aren't the Ravens we thought they were at that time. Maybe we were all just kind of giving them a little too much love.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, the Jaguars, no, that was the game that, I mean, especially the way like 9-6, because you saw the Bills put up 31 in a loss against Tennessee. They put up 26 against Miami the week previous to that loss. They put up 40 against Houston. They put up 20 against Kansas City. Like, to put up 6 points against Jacksonville with Urban Meyer, right? Like that, that's a little weird, right? That's like a baseball score.
We got some, we have a lot of our good friends of the DK Sim fam over on Twitch. There's a lot of people who really don't like Carson Wentz. Yeah. And then we touched a little bit on the, listen, as a Jags guy, I'm not a huge fan of him either, but yeah, that's one where who knows? Who knows? A lot of people are fans of the Jaguars this week because the Jags win and the Raiders and the Chargers can just finish in a tie and they'll both punch a ticket to the playoffs.
Well, Carson Wentz, he's got a 3.47% big time throw rate. That's not great, but it's not terrible. He's got a 2.77% turnover worthy percentage, which is not good. When he has a clean pocket, he's got 104.3 passer rating. And that's the thing about the Colts is you're trying to tell Carson Wentz at this stage, don't play hero ball, right? Like just, if you go 12 for 14 for 125 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions, that's exactly what we want from you. Because we got the defense, we got the running game. Having said that, though, sans the Jaguars, if you're in the AFC and you're going up against a team like Kansas City or Buffalo, you're going to have to put up points. And I think that's why a lot of people are worried about Carson Wentz when it gets that. And then also, too, seeing a 16-point, essentially like a 15.5-point number on Carson Wentz. So a Carson Wentz team has to win by 2 touchdowns and a field goal. That's a lot, right? This number is based off of what Jonathan Taylor can do against Jacksonville and this defense against Trevor Lawrence.
I would pay for the Colts defense at $3,800.
Yeah.
This week, like there is no question in my mind, although we've seen and you said it this week on the sweat, like the Jags would have to play a game like they did against the Bills in order to have any chance in this one. And they're locked into a top 2 spot. And there's not like there's that clear cut number 1 guy in the draft this year. And either way, at 1 or 2, the Jags are going to take an incredibly talented young man, and they're going to quickly destroy his hopes and dreams and his passion, and his career will dwindle and die within the 4 years in Jacksonville.
Yeah. No, and look, when they beat the Bills 9-6, the Bills didn't have a run game. If they want to play that game with the Colts,
good point.
Right. That'll play right into the Colts and what they want. So if you think that's the case and you think the Jaguars are capable of that in week 18, then plus 15.5 is a great number to get at. I just do not trust Jacksonville. They're only putting up 10 points against the Patriots team that the Colts absolutely, they pretty much dominated the Patriots for 4 quarters.
Yeah. What's your best bet this weekend? Do you have one? Because I know you write up a lot of articles about like your bets and top plays and stuff like that for NFL and golf. But do you have one in the NFL? Has anything changed since you decided to come up with that bet? Because a lot of these numbers have been shuffling.
Yeah, I think that this one's probably my favorite so far. This 49ers at getting 4.5 at the Rams.
Another must win for them.
Yeah, the Rams are locked in, right? They really can't change their position in the rankings, in the playoff rankings right now. And the 49ers need to get in. Both of these teams know each other really well. And look, in the NFC West, the NFC West, as long as you chose the underdog getting points, you've been pretty profitable this year. Just because these teams play each other extremely hard, extremely tough. I know the Rams, they did a number on the 49ers earlier this season, but at the same time, you take a look at how these teams are matched up. I personally there's a lot of people that say that they want Jimmy Garoppolo to play in this game to like this number a little bit more. While I get that, I don't think it's so much of a downgrade with Trey Lance. I think that Trey Lance is someone that can change the landscape of this game. And if he's in, I'd probably be less apt to go to the window and bet this. But I wouldn't be scared off of it if I already bet this and Trey Lance was starting quarterback. The 49ers right now, if you just take a look at their ATS, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 7-2 straight up, and also 7-2 ATS in their last 9 games.
Yeah, San Fran 5-3 straight up on the road this season. They also won the first meeting between these two teams. This can be a dangerous team in the playoffs, especially if it continues to be Trey Lance. We're not a lot of film on this guy right now. Could be one of those games where Eli Mitchell's punching in a game-winning touchdown here, late in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. And if this team can stay healthy, right, they have a strong defense. They're playing better. And Nick Bosa is playing a lot better.
Yep.
This is the one that I like the most. If you look at these trends too, San Francisco, like the underdog, has been, hot ATS in this matchup. San Francisco has done well against the Rams in this matchup, ATS. So this has come down. I think it was at 5 yesterday. So it's getting closer to, more people are betting San Francisco. So if you like this number, I would jump on it now, especially because like we've seen throughout this entire season that we get COVID news like on a Friday or a Saturday. Yeah. Like if for whatever reason, such and such is out, right? Like Stafford gets COVID and the 49ers now go to essentially a pick 'em. You're going to love that ticket if you got plus 4.5. I already like them right now as it stands. So if you like this bet, I would jump on it now.
No, Stafford was to get COVID. I forget the backup situation there. I know. I
have no idea who that would be.
No, I thought it was the kid who went to the
John Wolford. Not Bryce.
Yeah. That's the Bishop Kinney kid. From Jacksonville. Yeah, John Wolford.
Oh,
dude,
Wolford.
he threw like 8 or 9 touchdowns in a high school game down in Florida, in my alma mater, my high school alma mater.
Oh, look at this. I think he's got negative fantasy points.
That's okay. Hey, that's okay. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, there you go. 0 for 2. 2 for -1 yards rushing. But yeah, he's got minus 0.9.
Let my man live. Who cares? He peaked in high school and he's in the NFL.
Yeah.
All right. Chill out. Also, Stafford hasn't been playing like super hot. Six interceptions the last 3 games.
So I'm saying Garoppolo has been playing great, sans him being injured. He's got turnover worthy plays, granted, but you got Eli Mitchell, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, like I mentioned, Azeez Al-Shaair on the defensive side, Fred Warner, the secondary is suspect. So that definitely hurts. But, this is a team that I think that with 4.5 points can cover, and they have to, right? They have to win. So they're going to be taking chances. They're going to be going for it on 4th down when it's not necessarily advantageous to do so. They're going to be going for 2. They're going to be trying to score touchdowns as opposed to field goals against a Rams team that can put up points very quickly. So I like this a lot at plus 4.5.
Yeah, there's no question about it in my mind. That's the NFC game of the week. AFC game of the week was to me originally going to be like Bengals Browns. I don't really know so much anymore. I think I'm going to go with that like Raiders Chargers game on Sunday night. But again, that Bengals Browns one, what are the numbers on that now? Because wow, who knew the Browns would be 6-point favorites here, because again, no Burrow, no Mixon, the above average Joes, and then there's no Baker on the other side.
Yeah.
Who is it now for them?
Case Keenum.
And a lot of people say he's an upgrade, at least this season, with the way Baker's been playing.
Yeah, I don't know why, but the Browns, I saw the stat today when I was doing research and all this stuff, is that they pass so much, right? The Browns do. And I don't know what they were doing with Nick Chubb last week.
That was ugly, dude. Ugly.
And this is why, right? This kind of goes back to initially what I was talking about with coaches. You can never trust them to do the rational thing, right? There's always a context of like assuming rational coaching is at play, then you can do this. But that's a big assumption. Maybe he was hurt. Maybe he didn't want to, I'm talking about Nick Chubb. Who knows? Yeah. But Case Keenum, I don't think is a downgrade from Baker, especially Baker being perpetually injured this year with everything, right? Knee, shoulder, elbow, whatever it was, he was out. Hip. Now he's on IR, and I don't think he's going to be the starter next year for the Browns. So that's the case, right? This is really Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. If you can get healthy and get playing, that's him. That's them against essentially the B squad for Cincy.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy to say I would prefer the under here, even though it's 38 points, but with both teams essentially playing for pride, do you know what shines when you have 2 teams that are playing for pride with backup quarterbacks and Steve Buchanan heads up? There's a lot of rain in the forecast.
Oh, there you go.
Nothing shines more than defensive units when you have 2 teams playing for pride.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I could easily see this being like a 17-7 to 10 type of game.
It's going to be disgusting. It's going to be gross. You know what's not disgusting and what's not gross? This entire episode that we just hosted of the Slate. I had so much fun with you tonight and today.
Yeah, we don't need Jeff. Who's Jeff?
No, I will say this. If you guys follow Jeff on Instagram, he posted a hilarious video of his Springer Spaniel, same breed as our two pristine puppies over here napping. Thank God. She being Pepper, wearing boots, snow boots for the first time. So she's doing the funky, weird walk, and it's very funny. And it'll bring warmness to your cold, bitter hearts. Anyway, love you. Thanks for hanging out today. And TP and Eamon, thanks for your help so much. Twitch fam, damn good to see you again. Damn good hanging out. Who knows? Maybe announcers will return to the Sims after the NFL season is over. Who knows? I have no idea, but as the highest paid employee at DK, I'll see what I can do. Thanks everybody. Love you. Mean it. Peace.